Oh, yeah.
We're rolling on the road. Oh, yes, we're rolling on the road. We're 100 shades of invertibility. We're rolling on the road. Oh, yes, we're rolling on the road. Ooh, ooh, we're rolling on the road. We're 100 shades of invertibility. We're rolling on the road. Check it away, Cousin Kim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, season 6. We're rolling on the road. Oh, yes.
Afternoon. We're so happy. It's Tuesday, March. Ooh, wait a minute. No.
We're rolling on the road. We're 100 shades of invertibility. We're rolling on the road. Oh, yes, we're rolling on the road. Ooh, ooh, we're rolling on the road. We're 100 shades of invertibility.
Frozen. There we go. I think we back. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
There we go. Hey, Dr. Vertanji. She said, good day. Good day to you too, honey. I'm telling you, I always know when it's going to be really, really great. There's always some kind of technical difficulty, but I don't let all that get worry me. Because if I did, it might make me lose my hair. Yes, 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 yes. And I don't have no hair to lose. I don't know about y'all, but I don't have no hair to lose. Anyway, good afternoon. Today is Tuesday. It is March 10th. Can y'all believe that it's March already? Already. And I have the honor to introduce this amazing woman in the person of Dr. Y'all drum roll, please, Dr. Terra Defoe. So I've been trying, I want to say for about 6 months to get in touch with her, to have her on the show. I can't tell you how many people have recommended you to be on the show.
Wow.
So yes.
Timing
You have been
is
recommended.
Thank
It
you.
is.
Thank you.
It is. And I am learning that there is the appointed time, the anointed time for things to happen. And so this past weekend had the opportunity to attend a roundtable discussion. And guess who I see as I'm coming across the parking lot? And I said, it's just nice to be nice. It really is. Because I was rolling through the parking lot, y'all, in my Rolls Royce. I'm chilling because y'all know my Bentley died. Okay, the funeral is tomorrow. So I'm just telling everybody right now that the show is going to be preempted because the funeral of the Bentley is tomorrow. That's going to be the show.
Wow.
Jesus. With taps and everything. So yes, talk about me, honey. Please do. Please do. Please talk about me and spread the word. The funeral is tomorrow. I will be posting on tonight after the show, the arrangements. And I want to thank RTS Trash LLC, who I entrusted the final interment to them.
They will care for it with good hands.
They did. We had a little service here at the house. We played taps. I did my hand salute. I thanked her for her service because she served me well. The VA paid for her. Y'all know I'm a United States Navy veteran. So anything that comes my way, they got to serve too. She has been all
Absolutely.
over the United States. I got pictures of her with the governor, the lieutenant governor. So y'all gonna see it all. We having a funeral tomorrow. Cause she got to tell her story. Cause she created a story with me. So she got to tell her story tomorrow.
Wow.
So I'm starting a new story with the Rolls Royce. Now the Bentley, it had all these little bells and whistles, and I got her in December of 2021. So imagine the upgrades that they have by January of 2025. So I got all the bells and whistles, and when it came, I was just blown away because the VA said, "Come on down here to Battle Creek. We're gonna, do a." It was like going to a car dealership. That's all I could say. It was like going to a car dealership
Absolutely
and
beautiful.
seeing all of these beautiful wheelchairs of all types, anything that you wanted to do. You could choose a wheelchair based off of your lifestyle. And I said,
Wow.
I want to know which one I could judge up. All right. I just need to make sure she could be, croup like me. And it's just like, oh, we got one of them too, Dr. Kim. We got that, whatever you need. And so
Awesome.
I got to actually build her. So I chose my seating, I chose the colors, and then the VA has to put in their piece based off of my medical, issues. So then they put it all together. When it came back, the chair is $45,000, and she sharp. She sharp.
Yes, she is, y'all. Yes, she is.
She rises up to the occasions.
Yes, she does, y'all. Yes, she does. It's a beautiful thing to see.
And I just want y'all to know I was very proud of her. She rose up to the occasion to take a picture with Dr. Defoe. I mean, she was on her best behavior on yesterday. Oh, that was on Saturday. I'm sorry, on Saturday. She was on her best behavior. She got to meet the congresswoman. I mean, she moving up. She going from governors to Washington, the congresswomen. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And she battled that rain too.
she did. She did. She got headlights and everything. The headlights was on. Don't play. Do not play with the disabled girl, okay? She coming with them 4-inch heels on. They might even be 5.
They were
She
sharp. They were
rolled.
purple.
She rolled up in there, but I loved it because it was such an intimate space in which you and I had an opportunity to talk.
Yes.
A very intimate space. And when I had an opportunity to read your story, she's asked me, she said, "What are we going to talk about?" I said, I very politely went and copied and pasted her information back to her. I said, "We're talking about you." That's what we've been doing. We're going to talk about you. That's what we're doing.
I have never had anybody to send me back my bio, send me back my stuff and say, "You the topic." We're talking about you.
Yeah, we're talking about you.
Amen.
And I love how you started out because you said your story is just like everybody else's story. I'm just like you. Because if y'all don't know, you're going to know today. She is the elite of the elitist. I mean, currently
Amen.
you are the political director for Congresswoman Haley Stevens, And are you still connected with Alyssa Slotkin?
Yes, 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 yes.
So the other piece of that, she's in Washington as well. And I believe that you kind of coordinate what she needs to do here in Michigan as well.
So with Senator Alyssa Slotkin, I left as a senior advisor to Mayor Mike Duggan, who I served for 10 years. When he took office in 2014.
Hey, wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute, friends and neighbors. He getting ready to run for governor. So y'all look, you see where she going. Y'all need to track with her. Okay, all right.
So I served with Mayor Mike Duggan as one of his senior advisors. My area of responsibilities were faith-based, senior citizens, homeless, returning citizens, and gang intervention, and veterans. And so after doing that for some time, 2023, Senator, then Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin decided to run for U.S. Senate to fill the seat from former U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow. And so I joined her team in 2023 as her deputy political director. And as you see, we got her across that finish line. It was a lot. Election night. All our nerves was doing, but it was interesting because, if you remember, if you recall election night 2024, everyone had given their speeches, through the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Everybody took the stage, and we were still, waiting for those numbers. And the other candidate, he was far ahead. And we how we gonna make up this ground? And I remember, we all were staying down at Motor City, and I told my daughter, I said, you can keep the room. I got to go home and pray. Because I'm like, Lord, you don't put me on losing teams. And so I need to understand what is happening tonight. Everybody else is giving their numbers have come in, but yet we're still waiting on the senator's numbers to come in. And I just remember God reminding me that he has the last say and to be patient. And so I remember it felt like I just dozed off and went to sleep. And I got a call about 6 a.m. explaining that some numbers out of Detroit and some other cities in Wayne County had not come through yet. And so the senator, we were like, hey, you're going to have to call the mayor, and so the mayor, the senator called Mayor Duggan. Mayor Duggan called the clerk called her deputy clerk, and they got in there to start processing those precinct numbers. And then it was other cities who numbers started coming in. So we went from a negative, then we started, being equal. Then the numbers started surpassing his numbers, because remember, all of his numbers were in. So it was no more numbers for him to get because all of his numbers had been accounted for. And truly enough, I think about 8 o'clock that morning, we got the word that we were about 23,000 votes ahead, and they called the election. And I just had to praise God, because I'm like, Lord, you sure enough know how to make sure that the world saw what happened here, that there was no misunderstandings of what happened here. And so having to do that, made the transition to the federal side with the senator. And then I was asked to, about 6 months in, I was asked to go help Haley Stevens. And as she runs to take the seat of now retired Gary Peters. So, which is our second, Michigan's second Senate seat. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be on another U.S. Senate campaign. I'm excited to see that it's another woman. I'm excited to see that it's somebody out of Congress who is doing the work already day to day. They are there. She's there doing the work. So I'm excited to see all of the momentum around this race.
It is exciting. And to be at the table, I want to say good afternoon to Dr. Vertanji Kendricks, who is watching from Detroit, Michigan. Hey, Cheryl Lynn James, thank you for tuning in on today. The time is now 17 minutes after the hour. It's 4:17, and you are tuned into Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly. And my guest today is Dr. Terra Defoe. And if you don't know, you're going to know today that she is, a big wig, y'all. She truly is. And she's doing her thing as a Black woman, creating her story in the political realm. So she is currently the political director for U.S. Senate candidate Haley Stevens, and your position with Alyssa Slotkin is?
So I'm still a part of her political team. So I just, because I've come off the federal side, so I just kind of still serve as a political consultant.
If someone was even thinking about getting into politics, where would you have them to start? Especially as a woman and being a Black woman.
If they're getting into politics to serve, or they're getting into politics to be a candidate to take on a seat, those are entirely two different conversations. And I always share that with people who are looking to do that. First, where are you? What are you doing right now? Are you engaged in your own community? Are you a part of a faith-based organization or a civic organization, a union? What do you do in your space right now? And in that space, are you reaching out on things that are of value to you? So, meaning, are you a part of organizations that uphold, if education is a big piece for you, are you a part of things that are big around education? If it's human services that you are that is an interest for you, then are you a part of groups and organizations around human services? So you have to find the connection of what is your heartstring along with where you want to go, because it doesn't make any sense if you are a healthcare person for you to be in an organization that is talking about saving the whales. That's a waste of time. They people who are saving whales, they have a whole different conversation than what you do when it talks about healthcare or human services, because they are talking about species, they're talking about mammals, they're talking about a thing that can't speak for itself. So you have to take that gift and that tool that you're using and put it in the correct places. If it's a elected official office that you're looking, then let's start as a precinct delegate. Let's work as a precinct delegate. Let's look at, again, serving on other boards and committees within organizations that are of interest to you, so that you can learn the process, learn what bylaws are, reading what the Robert Rules of Order is really about, so that you know how to conduct yourself when you're in these type of settings. Precinct delegates. I started off as a precinct delegate, which was actually very funny. I was working for the Michigan House of Representatives first time I ever had a job working for the House of Representatives or even in this field. I was a grant writer, and I'm still do write grants. But at the time, I was focused on writing grants, and a gentleman, former state representative Fred Duras Sr., convinced me to take a job for the Michigan House of Representatives Democratic Caucus. And I had just came off the Bush election with registering people to vote. So it was, like, oh, okay, this is a little different. But it was the best thing for me because I was able to learn a lot of things that I saw happen, but didn't know how the logistics and all of those things work. Ran for precinct delegate, and I remember those two women that I made a little kicker card before kicker cards was popular. And I stood at the precinct. I stood at the voting at my voting precinct and handed out my card, introducing myself. My kids, we lived in an apartment building downtown Detroit. So my kids went and put the little kicker cards on people's cars at night. We slid them up under the door at our apartment building. And I wound up beating the gentleman who had been the precinct delegate for 10 years. I beat him by 2 votes. And I tell everybody, I know exactly who those 2 votes were. And it was those 2 women who said they never have seen a precinct delegate stand outside and actually talk to voters. So that was my first thing. And so when you become a precinct delegate, you start getting these mailings from elected officials who you going to play a role in their campaigns. And so I started getting letters from then Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. I started getting mail from state representatives and state senators. Debbie Stabenow, I received a letter from her congratulating me to my new position. Kim Trent met with me and we just, talked. And I'm like, what do you do? And so she started telling me what she did for the U.S. Senator. And I'm like, that sounds cool. And we just talked about how do we get out and just get voters engaged? How do we keep the community engaged? How do we keep the precinct engaged? And that door just started opening more and more and more. So then I started working on campaigns. People, when you carry yourself a certain way and you take care of your business, people, obviously will like you and ask you to come back. And so that is how that door opened for me. So if you're looking to get in politics, if you're looking to serve in politics, I always say start precinct delegate, learn the basics, and then work your way up. Work your way through city government or work your way up through other levels before you just, roll out of bed and be like, oh, I'm going to run for U.S. Senator, with no experience. And that doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. You may sound good to people. You may get some people that may agree with some of the things that you're talking about. But people who have really vested their vote into candidates on different levels, they're going to compare you. They're going to compare, can you really deliver what you're saying? And if you have nothing to measure it to, nobody has anything. I can't say that, if you just rolled out of bed and decided to run for something, what do I have to measure what you can actually do? Because you haven't been elected to anything. And I think sometimes as voters, we get caught in the hype of a lot of that. We get caught in the rah-rah, and it really can bring death to a seat or a party because, someone else could get in and, split the vote. So I would strongly encourage you to look at the space that you're in, get involved with some of the caucuses. If you're a Democrat, get involved with the Democratic Party. They have multiple caucus that you can become a part of. They have a Young Dems Club. They have a faith caucus. They have oh my goodness, a woman's caucus. They have so many, a Black caucus, a Latino caucus. They have
they got a disability one too.
They have a disability caucus, and so they have a justice caucus, right? And so
they have a veteran caucus.
Yes, I'm sorry, they do have the Veterans Caucus, and get in there, get involved, serve, run for a position within those caucus, and start really just working to get your name out there. Work with your elected officials, become partners, set up events. We love events nowadays. We got, beer and pizza and wine and cheese, events, and, we have all kind of events, and host a little house party or find somewhere where you can pull people together. But most definitely you want to be able to learn how to get people engaged and get them mobilized.
Well, the time is now 27 minutes after the hour. It is 4:27 p.m. You are tuned into Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly, and my guest today is Dr. Terra Defoe. Thank you so much, Sherilyn, for your comment. She said precinct delegates are so important. Now, yes. She made some really great points, and then there is always that one who is different. And that would be me. I did not do any of that. And I ran for state rep. I came in and just went straight, for state rep. Just like, yup, that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey,
sometimes stuff happens like that. You just get in there and you say, look, but the thing about it, because I know some people say, well, Dr. Kim didn't do none of that. And she just came out the gate, running for state rep. Now, some of the things that I did do that she kind of touched on a little bit is that as a disabled veteran, the VA sent me to Disability Advocates of Kent County. One of the things that they do is they attend legislative days. And so at legislative days, we look at things that legislation is doing that affects the disability community. And so we always get an opportunity to say, okay, we look at, what districts do we represent for the people that are going to attend? And then we make sure that either the state rep or the senator in that area, comes and they meet with us. We sit in a room, they come in and we tell them our concerns and they get to talking to us. And then, they start pulling you in. It's like, oh, you can speak. Well, come on. And you work with a lobbyist. So I had the opportunity back in 1900 and no, it was when it was 2019. Yes, it was 2019 when Governor Whitmer had just taken office. And of course, they're going to change some things in the budget to fit them. And everybody doesn't always know what the other person did before they came in and the monies and how they allocated. So the first thing that I got to do was go down in front of the sub-appropriation committee and lobby for $3 million for the city for the Centers for Independent Living. And we got it. So I got I had 5 minutes to speak. They said, you get 3 to 5 minutes. I took the full 5 and just said, hey, look, my name is Dr. Kimberly Barrington. And this is what, that money can do and why we need you to keep it in the budget. They were like, wow, it impressed them. So boom, we got it. That was my first thing. The second thing that I did was he was state rep Bo LaFave, person with a disability. And he wanted to put on the books. It's called Changing Minds, Changing Signs. And it involves, now that you see the new signs, they don't say handicap anymore. It just says accessible parking. And instead of seeing that stoic person in the wheelchair, you see the person moving forward. Well, guess who would help do that? That was me. Got up there. I'm telling you, That sister, I was Miss Wheelchair USA at the time. I had my crown and my sash on, and I wheeled and towed up them halls. Uh, all the U.S. senators. I was like, hey, I'm knocking all the senators, for the state of Michigan. I'm knocking doors. Hey, I need you to sign this bill. I need you to get this. And they're like, really? What? I said, yeah, see, that way I can roll around in my crown and my sash and have me a place to park. And I said, we want to change how people view persons with disabilities. We're not just, we sharp. That's all I can say. We sharp. We come out the gate sharp. And at the end of the day, we started about 8 o'clock in the morning. We went until about 4:35 because the session was going to begin at 5 o'clock. It went on the floor and it was nice. We waited and it was a unanimous yes to change it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So we all took pictures on the floor in Lansing. I'm telling you, there was nothing like it, to be the only woman, to be the only Black, to sit on the state floor, knowing that we got House Bills 45, 15, and 16, or 16 and 17, signed. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it when you go out there and you do the work and then you see it. And then when we came in, we had like one more meeting after it came off the floor in front of another subcommittee, asking, what would it look like? And they were asking about the cost. And so we were saying that there, Bowl of Faith spoke first, and then I came up, and it was like, there's not going to be any cost, initially, because if the sign is there, you got an old sign, then it's there. But moving forward, if you're going to, change out your parking lot or you're creating new signs, then you need a new sign. But the piece that I didn't know that was going to happen, and the other day I saw it, I just broke down in tears. They have it on the license tags now as well. Yes. We just asked for the signs. Okay, I'm about to cry. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And you should be so proud. Do you know how hard it is to get a bill passed?
So when I saw the license tag, I just lost it. I just started screaming. And the people that are driving me, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? What's going on? And I was like, I didn't even have any words, because the initial campaign was changing the sign, changing minds. And so when I saw the signs that were changed around the city and around the state, I was like blown away. But to see now that it had moved to a license tag, that part right there, I just, okay, Lord. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, how do we do this on a greater scale? And they said, well, we need you to run. I mean, you can do it. You have the momentum, And then the other piece was Governor Whitmer. Well, I had worked with Governor Snyder on a $8 million mobility grant. And so each collaborative group could get up to $1 million to provide transportation to the disabled, veterans, and the elderly. And if you could, if your business was servicing all three of them, then you had the trifecta, you were good. And then, so you had the agency, then someone with the technology had to come alongside of you. And then there had to be a transportation system. So those three had to collaborate, and to be able to tell them what transportation looks like was just amazing. How do we get around? How do we need you to do it? How do we need to interact on our phone based off of our different disabilities? And, to have this, it was probably over 1,200 people in this room, and they had to come through the charrettes. I did the disabled and the veterans, and for them to come in and have to listen to little old me in a little wheelchair, I was like, oh my goodness. And then as they were putting together, their packets to apply for the money, they were able to call me and say, hey, and we spent lots of time emailing back and forth of, nope, this needs to be changed. Okay, let's do this way. All right. Yep, you got this on point. And then to have that final say, okay, we got the final packet to be able to send in. Well, Snyderly's office, there was $4.7 million left on the table. So Governor Whitmer, and I will never forget it, it was her 15th day in office. and we were at the Detroit car show at Cobo Hall, and the call came and it was like, hey, you're going to be on the stage with the governor, with MDOT, and with Pure Michigan. And I said, wait a minute, what? I said, no, how you can get the director of the Center for Independent Living for the state of Michigan can do this. They were like, no, you were the one that we called in to do this. So you're going to go up there and you're going to have the conversation with her. And I said, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. Got on stage. And as they were asking us, they were asking different questions. And there was a question from a group that came from the Capitol for the Center for Independent Living. And they said, Governor, how do we know that this is going to, be self-sustainable? You get the money and you do it, but each group had to say, how were they going to sustain it beyond that $1 million? And she went to answer the question. She was like, well, and I did like this. I leaned forward. I had my mic and I said, Governor, I said, I got your back. I said, I'll take that question if you don't mind. And she said, go ahead, Dr. Barrington. So I said to them, the reason why you can know that this is real, it's going to happen. I said, it's already been signed. The money's coming through. You're going to have that transportation. And I said, because never again will they make a decision about us, for us, without us being at the table. And I said, I don't need a seat at the table. I just need I need space in the room because I come on my own chair. And the whole place just howled. There was probably like 10,000 people there. And when I tell you it was packed, it was so many people. And then all of the news outlets, it was unreal. And shortly after that, I get this phone call saying, hey, we're calling from the governor's office and we want to get your information and we would like for you to, turn in your application. I was like, for what? Because you're getting ready to get appointed to the Michigan Rehabilitative Services Council for the state of Michigan. And I was like, shut up. They were like, yeah, for real. Talking about the governor was really impressed with how you handled yourself. And then, of course, there were questions that were asked, of me. And it's like, she really liked the way you handled yourself. So she wants to appoint you, to that council. And I said, wow. Yeah, wow. And we've been rocking and rolling ever since. And then when 2022 came around and they said, hey, look, they did the redistricting and they said it was going to include more of Byron Center because that's where I live. It was going to be Byron Center, the top part of like Caledonia going into Allegan and Berry County. And y'all know that is red city. There's no blue, nothing.
Wow.
And they said, we need to galvanize our Democrats. We need to get them on board, but we need to give them a candidate that they can get behind. So we want to know, they asked me would I run? Because I wasn't playing, I wasn't doing all that. Ain't doing all that. So sometimes, you can do enough work that's impactful and you see and get to know the right people. Absolutely. And you kind of get in that way because every year after that, I was always there for legislative day. Then I got invited to the State of the State address, with the governor, even got to sit with her family. And even that year, that was in 2019, I got invited to her home for the Christmas party. So it's just, being at the right place at the right time and really putting in the work, in your sphere, I guess, of influence, if you will. And if you look around, you don't see, let alone a person with a disability that's out there on the front line. And then I'm a woman, I am Black, and I'm a veteran. So you can't help but say, yeah, let's figure out how do we get her in here? And she got a big mouth. No. She could talk, y'all. She could talk. And I don't talk just to be talking. It's just, it's nice. And, one of my things on my platform was to make sure that veterans could keep their home because if you are a veteran out there and you're watching, you have a lot of tax exemptions. Like you don't have to pay the tax when you purchase a car. Many of you don't know that. You just got to fill out your paperwork when you go to get your car. That is what our governor has done for us is that we don't have to pay taxes when we purchase a car. We don't have to pay the taxes when we go to purchase our homes. But what was happening is that we have to fill it out every year. If you have a disability and if you're a veteran and you have so many things that are happening, maybe you forget and it doesn't happen. So that means you end up paying taxes on your home that year. You're not supposed to. And I think you should be able to get it back. But I had that as part of my platform. And when we all had an opportunity to do a round table and meet with the governor, she looked at me, she says, "So Dr. Kimberly, that's true?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She checked with Zanetta Adams, who was the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency director at the time. She says, "You mean these veterans have to go every year?" She said, "What are you asking, Dr. Barrington?" I said, "Number one, I'm asking that we don't have to do it every year. How about every 3 to 5 years? And I'm also asking that if the veteran dies, that that exemption still stay with the home as long as it's being claimed as the homestead." And just like a baby, y'all, you carry a baby for 9 months. 9 months. I gave it to her. Did I get my seat? No, I did not. But did I win the election? I did. I won. I won the heart of the people because I was able to bring them together. We have several Democratic parties now in this area where we did not have it. So
Absolutely.
what they asked me to do, I got it done, made it happen. I met with them the whole time, for more than 6 months, met with them. And sometimes we had to truly meet in secret, in poll barns. I'm telling y'all, this was an election that I will never forget. I'm meeting people clandestinely in pole barns, in people's, extra hidden properties because they were so entrenched, with the red coats, if you will, in the red party. And they weren't letting their neighbors know that they were voting Democrat, that year. And I just thank God that he had me covered because I had threats all my life. They said it to my face, and I said, "My Lord, have mercy. What have I gotten myself into?" But I thank God because when it was all said and done, I got to do what has never happened before as a woman, a veteran, a person with a visible disability. I got to lead out the rally before the election with, wow, Stabenow, Peters, the lieutenant governor, the governor, Winnie Brinks, everybody that was anybody for the Democratic Party. When we had that final rally that Sunday before the election on Tuesday, I got to lead out and do the opening speech.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
So I thank I thank God for my time, and I haven't stopped. They're like, sometimes you just have to move, in the stillness. But I'm here, and I'm really looking forward to working with Stevens. I am, and
Amen.
working with
Amen.
Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist.
Yes. People who have paid their dues to be in front of the people, people who have actually, the Congresswoman, and I'll say this about Congresswoman Haley Stevens, she has the receipts. She has the receipts of the work that she's done. When you can have somebody work on the auto rescue, remember when we were in the recession and it was all over the news, the big three was needing the bailout. They was going under. And Ford, I think it was Ford Motor Company was like, "Hold on, we can try to see our way out. We can try to figure this out. We got some stuff on the back burner, but we can work this out." And Chrysler took the hit and GM took the hit, but they were able to rebound. And how many jobs? You're talking about over 200,000 jobs saved. Those are households. Those are mother, fathers. Those were daughters. They were sons. They were people who were going to work, and then to have a to have to work in a recession, and then next thing you know, you're being told, don't even come back to work. You know, people who have worked in these positions
Right.
for pretty much all their lives, you know, now being told, hey, you ain't got to work no more. You know, so you're talking about, you know, a congresswoman who has had challenging campaigns before. She's flipped Republican seats. She's gone up against, you know, 11, you know, you talking about the Levens. That is a political name. That is a solid name in southeastern Michigan, and yet to take that on and to win that seat. So she has the receipts
Yes.
about being a effective lawmaker. She's ranked as the most effective lawmaker in DC. She knows how to move around and get those bills done. And so I not only, you know, work for her, but I also, that's where my vote is going to be. I take my vote very serious. I look at a person's ability to get the job done. And I saw this same situation just in 2024 with Senator Slotkin. And I'm sure Sherlin remembers the same thing. You know, we saw that there was a gentleman running against Senator Slotkin, and he's never been elected to public office ever, hasn't been elected to anything ever. And to come into Detroit like he's lived here forever and he's been a part of the community forever, that wasn't the case. And so what I felt was the disrespect was, so as Black people, we have to go get people who have no political experience and, you know, can have some name recognition and put them over, like literally put them over elected officials that have been here and have ran and worked campaigns and was able to win. I just did not understand, why would we do that to the highest seat in our state? I can understand if it was, you know, a city election or a county election, but to take someone with no experience and put them at the highest seat in our state, I had a problem with that. And so we worked very hard to, of course, to get the Congresswoman across the finish line. And she put in the work. She had to take, you know, those blows. She had to work just as hard. And I'm watching Congresswoman Haley Stevens do the same thing right now. She, you know, as soon as if she puts up a post that says the sky is blue, I guarantee you within 10 minutes, you'll have 20 people saying the sky isn't blue, it's green. And you know, they talk about her looks, they talk about the way she talks, they talk about this woman so bad. The bullying, the political bullying is so disgusting. I'll say disgusting. It is so disgusting. And the other candidates should be ashamed of themselves for allowing people who support them, or even giving the charge to do that to somebody else's page. The dirty tactics of politicking, people are over it. They're so tired of it. People hate it. And they don't realize, these candidates don't realize, people are going, you're running votes away from you. When they start seeing you attack another person in the way and the matter and the mass that they have been doing to Congresswoman Haley Stevens, people are like, you know what? It must be something about this woman. For her to get attacked on social media the way she does, people are looking into her. People are donating money. They're like, you know what? It got to be something good about you, because if you weren't about it, then they wouldn't be attacking you. So it's really sad to watch, but you know, we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep pushing. Like I said, she is the only candidate with 3 seats. people are promising free this and free that, and we're going to do this when we get to the Senate, not realizing you gotta work with other states, and maybe what you're talking about another state don't want. So how are you going to push something that you ran on and push it down the throat of somebody else?
Yeah.
And then when you don't get it done, do you come back and apologize to those people? Do you come back and apologize to the voters?
I was running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
like
not going to
get that when I was running.
Yes. And you're not going to get
so the people
everything
and what
that you want.
Mm-hmm. So I saw that when I was running, and what I appreciated is that some of the news outlets would comment about she and I, and how she was running the campaign and how I ran mine. And I'm not trying to give into it, but I just appreciated how they would cover me and tell her she needs to act more like Dr. Barrington. We have a ton of questions here that we need to get to. And the first one is, how do you bridge? Let's see, wait a minute. Let me get the whole thing up here. Let's see. How have you navigated the bridge between the community and politics when the voters or the community are disengaged?
I like to first I do my research. I come in, I meet with people individually to kind of get a scope of what's happening, to find out where the disconnect happened. Because sometimes a disconnect happened from an election between, two beloved people in the community, and it tore the community apart, and so I like to come in and kind of see what people have to say. And if it's, about, the election of two individuals, I'll sit down and go talk to those two individuals. You're going to always have a winner and you're going to always have a loser in a election. So go talk to both of them and find out, okay, what topic can we agree on? Is it education? Is it gun safety? Is it domestic violence? Is it auto insurance? Is it property taxes? What can we agree on together? And then how do we work to educate and engage the community on those topics? And so when you start talking to individuals who have the ability to bring communities together, then you bring in other stakeholders. You bring in your faith-based community. You bring in your unions. You bring in other elected officials. You may also bring in an outside voice, from media or a community leader this is their topic, this is their baby, but they can go anywhere and talk about it. And let's start having that community conversation. Thank God for technology, right? So you can start having Zoom meetings about a specific topic and have those individuals come together to talk about what can we do right now. I remember I was working for then Senator Tupac Hunter, and there was a issue, and the Wayne County, our current Wayne County exec, Warren Evans, was then the sheriff for Wayne County. And there was a high school that clergy were complaining that the Dearborn police was harsh on the students from Inkster. Well, this school, if you cross the railroad tracks, you like in Dearborn or Dearborn Heights, I couldn't remember which one it was, might have been Dearborn Heights. But it was the division of this railroad track. But the kids had to get through this railroad track to get, to go home. And, parents was at the meeting. So I first talked to the sheriff and I said, is it a way that the sheriff's department can take on when school is letting out, that they're making sure that these students go the way that they are supposed to go? So whatever, if it's across the track and make a left, that they cross that track and they make that left to avoid the harsh interaction with Dearborn police. But then we also still had to have that conversation with the police department. These are kids that we're talking about, and we've all been there where we were, doing something and being somewhere we weren't supposed to be after school. And you're always going to have that set of kids that's going to do that. But let's the students start seeing the police and law enforcement in a positive light. So now they're seeing a Black sheriff, and then they're seeing more Black men sheriffs, and now you start having this community engagement and activities with students to let them see law enforcement is not your enemy. They have a job to do, but they're not your enemy. And so how do we come together? So the faith-based community, law enforcement, both agencies was able to work together. And it as they reported out, it was less incidents. Students, understood what was happening, and we was able to, now bridge that gap. And we bridged it so much that Dearborn started hiring Black people. Look at that, right? And so you have to find the middle ground. You have to find what can we agree on. And if you're not engaged, then let's understand why. And then and when it comes down to Black people, we have to take some responsibility ourselves, because we want to be engaged in things, but then we want to be selective on the things that we want to be engaged with. And not everything you need to be engaged with, but when it comes down to certain things, you need to be engaged and you need to be informed. But people are tired of spending resources to force this information down your throat if you're going to just keep not taking advantage of it or not using it. So we have to be more engaged and then not keep the information to ourselves. How do we share? I'll jump on Facebook every now and then. If somebody's sharing something, job fair, something for returning citizens, something for veterans, it's 2 seconds to hit share and post it. Share the resources that you have with the community and with those that are that have voices of influence around you, mainly our faith-based community. Because in every faith-based community, you have a returning citizen, you have a senior citizen, you have a veteran, you have a person with physical challenges, you have a homeless person. You have, in every faith-based organization, you have some sort of somebody. So I always start there. I start with my faith-based communities and my labor, because they can help you get information out, and they can give you, extra resources, meaning volunteers, bodies, to help you engage the community. I remember, when we would host events in different communities, I would tell the people, hey, print me off 500 flyers. And they're like, what? Print me off 500 flyers. And I would get a group, it would be maybe 10 of us, and we go knock the doors. Hey, did you know that this event is taking place right here at the church around the corner? Hey, and give it to the person that's answering the door. Stick it in their door if they're not there. But sometimes you got to keep going to have that touch with the community and not assuming that, they'll get it from Facebook. You got to touch them in various ways: Facebook, television, mail, phone calls, face-to-face conversation, text messaging. You have to do these things, and you have to do them over and over again. Thank you, Sherlyn.
Okay, we got some. Yes. So I think you did touch on overcoming voter apathy. That was the next question, and you gave some really great ideas concerning that. And then the last question was, do senators alone have the power to do things, to sign bills and get them into action?
Yes, senators are your lawmakers, whether they're state senators or they're your federal senator, U.S. senators. Those are your lawmakers. Those are your policymakers. But you have to take those steps that Dr. K explained of what they did with her bills. You have to take those steps. So the bill has to be written. It's normally proofed by a couple of people and those that are advocating for it to kind of see, what else more do we want in it? What can we do without? So a bill can be anywhere from 5 pages to 500 pages long, depending on, what this bill is asked and set to do. And then it goes before the appropriated committee, and you have a committee that is statewide. So it's not just a committee of representatives out of or senators out of Michigan. They're national wide, and for the federal level, they're national. So on a committee that Senator Slotkin sits on, there may be a senator from California on it as well, whose issues may be different from Michigan. It could be somebody from Florida on that committee with her, who issues may be similar. And so now you have to work and get those votes to get that bill out of committee and then get it to the House or the Senate floor. And then that bill transfers over to the next chamber. And so, and then it's passed, then it goes to the president's desk or it goes to the governor's desk. And so, but you have a lot of steps that you have to take to get that, to get that bill passed. So yes, they do have the power to move those policies around and to make laws.
Okay, we want to say thank you so much to Shana Thomas, who's watching. She is all the way in Bel Air, Maryland. We want to say thank you to Marshall Kilgore, who tuned in today and was watching. I appreciate you guys, as always, for hanging out with us or rolling, because today we rolled over. Are you in there or are you in Washington?
I'm here. Right now, I'm here. I'm here
You're in Detroit
Michigan.
or Washington?
I'm in Detroit. Next week, I'll be in Washington. This is my week in Detroit.
So, okay, now Shirley said thank you. But I appreciate you guys today. The time is now 3 minutes after the hour of 5. It's 5:03. I tell you, time really truly flies when you're having fun. And we didn't even get to half of what I really wanted to talk with you, because little do y'all know is that she's been dissed too, that you have dyslexia.
Yes.
So we didn't even get a chance to have that conversation. So we're going to have to ask her to come on back so that we can continue that conversation. Because I'm really glad that it kind of went this way. Because number one, you got to see everything that she does and how articulate she is, and to know that she's living with a disc. I'm trying to tell y'all keep playing around us. You just never know who is in this community. And that's not bad English. It's not bad English. So thank you for tuning in today. And as I stated earlier, tomorrow we will preempt all the shows, and we're going to take a knee. We're going to take some time out, and we're going to have a funeral for my Bentley. Yes. She was funeralized on this past week. Well, over the weekend, Friday. Yeah, her funeral was Friday. So we're going to go ahead and show it. It was videotaped. I can't even say it with a straight face, Jesus. Okay. So the funeral was on Friday, and that's March 6th. And we'll be sharing that with you on tomorrow, her funeral. And we thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow at the funeral. The colors are purple and white. So please have on your purple and some white, or you can wear white with some purple. I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much as you watch the show on tomorrow.
Yes.
So we'll see you.